All right, 16.4. We have another new one, which means next week is probably a repeat, and which one we're going to repeat, I don't know yet. But putting that aside, focusing on 16.4 for right now. Got a 4 movement chipper, 55 reps each of deadlift, wall ball, calorie row, and handstand push-ups. My initial thoughts on this are that the deadlifts will set the tone. Obviously, they're the first movement, and if you come flying out of the gate on these and really let go of your form and just start cranking them out, bending your back, letting your shoulders sag, stuff like that, it is going to dramatically impact how the performance is for you on the rest of these movements. So on these deadlifts, you want a short cycle time, short rests. So quick, I'm probably going to go for 11s, something like that, 5 sets of 11. If you wanted to do descending, you could go 16, 14, 13, 12. Obviously there's a bunch of different number combinations you could do, but that's just one. So yeah, try and keep that cycle rep, each rep, move quickly through it, drop the bar, short rest, but just focus on maintaining your form as you go through the movement, because how your back, your shoulders, your legs, everything is in there. So if you're rounding your back and taxing it, that's going to make your wall ball suck. If you're letting your shoulders go, same thing on there. And then if you're back on the rowers fried, so maintaining good form on those deadlifts will allow you to continue to perform at a high level the rest of the way. For the wall balls, if you're capable of it, 1 to 3 sets. You do not want to let those eat up too much clock. For me, I'm going to try and go unbroken. We'll see how it goes. It's only 1 set of 55, so I know that I can do that. It'll kind of depend on how I'm feeling after this. Wall balls are not a strength for me. So it is kind of something where you need to figure out if you're good at deadlifts, maybe you do try and go a little bigger chunks on those, less rest, and then you take a little more time on the wall balls. But yeah, 1 to 3 sets. Keep a steady rhythm with them. I like to keep my hands right here. So I'll do my wall ball, squat, toss, and just immediately let my hands drop back down. For me, it lets my shoulders rest. I catch it in a nice set position. My shoulders are already set, as opposed to standing and waiting for that ball to come down, which will start to fatigue your shoulders. So I basically toss and let it drop, and then it comes right back in my hands and I'm into that next squat. So hopefully that'll help you be able to string a few more together. But yeah, try and don't let that take too much time, basically. The row is kind of a rest, believe it or not. But you should still push. So when you're rowing, you want to go fast out. Think of it like a deadlift, like you're driving away quickly. Pause at your finish. Keep those legs straight, pause for a second, slowly come back in, drive away fast out. You're probably going to want your strokes per minute to be somewhere around 25 to 30. If you can, aim to try and get a calorie per row. One thing to note is that time factors in on the calorie count, so going at a faster stroke rate is not necessarily going to help you. If you're going a little bit slower on your stroke rate, being a little more powerful with your drives, pausing at the front, coming back in, driving out, you can get pretty close to a calorie per pull without necessarily being up at like 2,000 calories an hour at that range. You can be down around 12 to 14 calories an hour and be getting 1 calorie per pull if you're pausing long enough. So play around with that. I personally, if I'm pulling on a rower, I have to get 1 calorie per pull. Obviously I have the build for that. It's easier for me to do, but it's so mentally devastating to pull and not see that number change. So find a pace and a amount of force that you can apply on that rower to get as close to 1 calorie per pull as you can. If you're going about 30 strokes per minute and you're getting about a calorie per pull, you're looking at about 2 minutes on the rower. So if you're able to keep two, if you allow yourself even if you do 3 minutes per movement, you're finishing this in 12 minutes, and we have a 13-minute AMRAP. So keep that in mind. Obviously, the handstand push-ups are going to be the crux of this. How proficient you are will matter. If you haven't been practicing that open standard from last year and you went back to maybe your old ways of wider hands or really far off the wall, you know, you're going to be struggling on these again. So hopefully you've been practicing being a little closer to the wall so that you're used to that. Big point of emphasis with this is to kick high. After we tuck and we start the kick, we want to make sure we're not kicking into that wall, which will then push us off. So I like to think about tuck my knees. You know, if you stay too tight with the knees, you can kind of get off balance. So let your knees drift out a little bit, that's fine. So tuck down, think about kind of like a push press. And then when you kick, you want to kick high. So kick up towards the ceiling to let those feet go straight up and allow that power to move up. Finish that press. Think about pressing through the top of your shoulder. Having a good lockout position is going to be important for this so that you're not falling off the wall, wasting energy, wasting reps. In terms of strategy for this, I mean, it really does depend what your proficiency is with handstand push-ups. Sigma's daughter started with like a set of 20, I think it was. I actually see some merit in, you know, trying to get as many in a row as you can out of the gate. They're gonna go no matter what. So if you're doing sets of 5 and eventually you have to go down to singles, they're gonna go around the same number of reps. So if you're able to get 10, 15, 20 in a row, do it. Eventually your sets will get smaller, but you'll at least have a little more time because you did that big chunk at the beginning to do those. So it might be worth practicing, you know, how many in a row you can maintain with like a 5-second rest. So play around with doing 5 in a row. See how many sets you can do with that. 3 in a row. See how many sets you can do with that. This is one where you maybe want to like give yourself an extra day before you do it to practice, you know, how you want to attack this. Like going through, kind of doing a run through of sorts where you're doing, you know, sets of deadlifts, wall balls, you know, getting on that rower, getting your heart rate up, and then going right over to those handstand push-ups and seeing how many you can string together, stuff like that. This is, I think it's going to be a tough one to redo for us non-superhuman folk. The deadlifts they're going to tax your back. They're going to, I mean, your legs will be shot. Like doing this twice within 3 to 4 days. If you're doing it, you know, Friday and Monday, or maybe Friday, Sunday, whatever you normally do, Saturday, Monday, like that's going to be tough. That second go round, like you would have had to have really done something strategically wrong to improve your score based on this. If you have a good strategy and you're able to pace yourself well, capacity-wise, not much is going to change on this. So really give yourself time to kind of practice these movements, have a game plan going into it, so that you can get your best, hopefully your best score on your first try. Because yeah, like this will be a tough one to redo. So this is shaping up to be one of the best opens that I've ever seen, if not the best. I'm really excited about this workout. Our guesses were pretty close. We've been guessing the last couple of weeks here. I had a 15-minute AMRAP of 90 wall balls, 75 box jumps, 60 deadlifts, and then 45 handstand push-ups. Tom had AMRAP 14, 90 wall balls, 60 calorie row, 30 handstand push-ups. So I had a good gauge on what was going to happen here. But like I said, I have no idea what 16.5 is going to be. Like, I feel like we've used all of the movements, so maybe I'm not thinking of something. But yeah, I mean, it has to be a repeat, right? Like they always do a repeat, which I guess, you know, we've had 2 new movements this year. Maybe they won't do a repeat, but I would be shocked if we did it. So before I keep rambling, I'll just shut myself up. So those are my tips for 16.4. Good luck, everyone. Have fun with it, and you know, if at the end of the day you're getting stuck, just go hard. Just go hard. All right.